This is Leigh with Coda Country on this episode of Coda Country Chats. And today I have Brett Landin with me on the show. Thanks so much for coming on this episode today, Brett.
Well, thank you, Leigh, for having me. I'm so excited to be here and just have girl
Yes.
chat.
Oh my gosh, I know I love girl chat. Well, and I was just talking with Brett before we started the episode. For the listeners out there, Brett and I have been friends on Instagram for a couple months, and you have been a busy girl. You've been running and going and doing all the things. So kudos for having such a busy life and keeping it all together. Tell me, one of the things that has kept you on the road right now was the CMT Awards. Tell me about that experience and going to Austin.
Yeah, it was amazing. I'm from Dallas, so going back to Texas is like so nourishing for the soul. Like first stop was Joe's for breakfast taco and a coffee, like without a doubt.
Yeah.
That made me so happy. But yeah, I mean, it was my first award show that I had the honor to be invited to, and it's crazy. It's been a whirlwind of a year, and growing up and watching the CMTs, and that was very much something that was a part of my life growing up. And so to be there and to be in sort of the, I don't know, like the swirl of it all, and to just listen to the performers that I love like put on incredible shows, and to like get the accolades, and to like receive their props for just like putting out really beautiful like visual work, because it's all so centered around like music video and live performance. And I think it's, as a performer, yes, like being in a recording studio is so wonderful and amazing, and that is such an experience within itself. But then really, I think to be able to bring that visual component to it on stage or on a video is like so special. And to be able to just like be there and to be in the graces of just like so many of the artists and producers and just people in the industry that I look up to was like a pinch me moment, for lack of a better word.
Yeah. Tell me, do you think you had a favorite performance that you saw while you were at the CMT Awards?
Oh, that's so tough. There were so many. I will say that Jordan Davis and Need to Breathe's mashup like had me truly in tears. Next thing you know is like a favorite song of mine. Brother is like an also another favorite song of mine, and so like them mashed up was incredible. I mean, the Toby Keith tribute also, for so many different reasons. One, like Brooks and Dunn playing Lainey Wilson, like Sam Haggard, like all of them sharing space to honor like such a legend in country music, and someone that I grew up listening to and dancing with my dad to like all of Toby Keith's tunes. So that, for so many different reasons, as a fan, as like somebody from the South that like grew up listening to that, and then also as an artist, it was just like really, really special to be there, and really special to watch the impact that like he's had on like such a range of people. I mean, so many different people go to the CMT Awards, right? Like they're college kids, and they're people with their parents, and they're artists, and they're old people, and just it's such a range. And I think to see on such a wide scale everyone moved by like this one person, I think is such a testament to Toby Keith, and also just a testament to the power of music. So it was really special.
Oh, you got a little personal with me there, talking about dancing with your dad. Let's go back a little bit and talk about more of your upbringing, where you're from originally, and how you got started in music.
Yeah, so I'm born and raised in Dallas, Texas. And yeah, music was such a big part of my life. Both of my parents were constantly playing music in the house. Neither of my parents do music in any capacity, but they are avid consumers of music. And so that was very omnipresent, whether it was like the Eagles or Garth Brooks or Toby Keith or Miranda Lambert. I mean, it was just a cacophony of different sounds and different styles. And so I'm really grateful for that, because I think then as I got older and I started writing songs, which at first was really just like a personal outlet for me, and then now has sort of taken on like a beautiful direction that I would have never even imagined was possible. I think all of those artists and just being around different genres growing up has really informed like my style as a writer and as a performer. But yeah, I mean, I have a brother My parents, I mean, we're all like very close. My parents aren't together, and I'm blessed to have like bonus families now. So it's just
Yeah.
a whole lot of love and a whole lot of people who are really supportive. And, I think to touch on what you had said about like, when did this sort of all start? It was COVID. I feel like COVID was a really big catalyst for me,
Yeah.
to just really start to pursue this in a way that was
Mm-hmm.
meaningful beyond just like, this is special to me and this is an outlet of creativity because I
Yeah.
had the time to. And I feel like COVID was a blessing for so many, and in the sense that it allowed everyone to like stop, and I think for me allowed me to reflect on like, okay, what am I doing, and what really does fill my cup, and how do I want to continue moving forward in life, because life is so precious and fragile, and you know that I think really informed it and was so scary. And so yeah, and so that all started in 2020, and now it's 2024, which is so crazy.
I
And
know.
yeah, it's been a whirlwind.
Yeah. You know, I've heard a lot of success stories of artists who just kind of like really regain their focus back during that COVID time. And I love hearing that though, because I feel like for me, the COVID was not that. It was like almost this like moment of what am I doing? And like, I don't know, but I'm glad that that kind of brought the creative musical side out of you, because now it's brought forth this awesome career that you have right now. I will ask, okay, so within COVID time to 2024, do you have like I'll call it like a monumental moment, or like a click time when you were like, yes, this is exactly what I was supposed to be doing this whole time, and I'm just now realizing it for sure.
There have been a few, but I think really bringing it back, I went to Nashville for the first time, and I was like so green. It
Yeah.
was, and I still am green, but maybe I'm a darker shade of green now than I was in 2020. And I was in Phil Madeira's home, and he is just like an incredible songwriter, and has, sat in on so many different projects and worked with just all just people that I just like get chills listening to. And he was gracious enough to let me into his home. We're sitting and we're workshopping a song, and he like goes and sits at his piano, and I play, I piddle on piano a little bit, and I, piddle a little bit on guitar.
Cool.
But for him to sit down, and we were just like talking through it, and I came in with this idea and like a melody in my head, which is often how most of my songs sort of pour out of me. It's just like
Yeah.
I'm walking or I'm asleep, and a melody will pop into my head. And, you know, I am not blessed with the gift to be able to go to the piano and put all of that down. And so I was like humming it to him, and he was like, wait, and went and sat at his piano and started playing like what I had been hearing in my head. And I just like burst into tears. Like I was just like,
That's awesome.
and I think like that was like the first moment where I was like, wow, like this is real. Like
Yeah.
creating, and like the stories and the lyrics that I am creating in like my mind and in my world, like those are real, and like that can go beyond a page in a notebook. And that, becomes even more beautiful and amazing when you're in a live recording studio, because I feel so grateful that all the songs that we've put out, and then songs that are upcoming, to be put out, were all recorded. Like the music was all done in like live music sessions, and that I was able to be a part of that and sit in on that and learn from Mark Hill and Evan Hutchins and all these amazing, Nashville studio players, and be a part of that. And I think for me as a new artist, and as someone who really like views myself as like a songwriter, and that was sort of the muscle that I was always working. I was never, which I'm sort of like, oh man, about now, but was never, taking any music lessons on instruments. So to
Mm-hmm.
be in the graces of people where then I'm like, wow, like this is more than just words. Like this is a song and this is a chorus and this is a hook and this is meaningful. I think, those have been the moments that I was like, wow, I want to do this, and I want to tell stories, and I want to do that with people. Like music doesn't happen in a vacuum. And I think music for me prior to that was happening in a vacuum because it was just for me and like a part of my own reflective process. So I think that those were the moments that I was like, oh, I really want to do this, but not because like I, Brett, want to like stand up there and be like, hi, here I am, I'm performing, but this like collaborative and like creative, ebb and flow of like, how do we tell meaningful truth in a world that I feel like is so skewed with like not a lot of truth.
Yeah. That's so true. Like you think about social media, and sometimes like you have people who just kind of put on the show, I call it. And so it's a wonderful thing that you bring to the table where you're just able to share your life story, and maybe somebody out there can just kind of latch onto it and be like, yeah, I feel that too. Because I think in a way, when you were describing that moment with Phil, it almost seems like that was a moment where you're like, this guy gets me.
Right.
And I think in some point, like deep down, we're all kind of walking around being like, I wish someone would understand what I'm going through, or I wish someone would kind of like empathize with me here, or understand like exactly what I need them to hear, So in a way, I feel like that's how you have just presented that to me. And I loved hearing that version of your story. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I think that, artists talk about it all the time, and like, I'll be the next to echo it, that, sitting in a writer's room or in a session where you're like, hi, I have this idea. It's been buried in my journal. And someone's like, oh my gosh, that like so resonates. Like I'll let you in, I guess, like on a secret, but I have an single that's coming out in the next few months.
Cool.
And I co-wrote it with Leslie Satcher, who is just like my most favorite woman in the whole wide world. And she's
we love that.
Brilliant songwriter. And for anybody who's listening that is in Nashville, she like plays at Third and Lindsley all the time. So I'd highly recommend going to see her play. And I came in with this idea for a song about the ebb and flow of, you're best friends with a guy, and he like emotionally treats you like you're his girlfriend, but he's not ever gonna like make that commitment to you. And and Leslie and I are coming into this space with like very different life experiences. We're at very different seasons of our life. And she was like, oh my God, Brett, oh my gosh, let me tell you this story. And she like goes on like a whole like beautiful, amazing, like makes my heart like smile Leslie tangent. And we start, and then this like song starts like pouring out of both of us. And my producer was sitting in on the session, and he was like, men do this.
Different perspective.
We were like, yes, they do. And I think it's those moments, whether it's the like, oh my gosh, like, pins are up and we're like writing, and she's right, exactly. Or like that moment that like Phil and I have had a few times where you're like sitting and you're like, wow, like, ouch, like, I'm so glad, but I'm so sad that you understand this and like what we're writing about. But yeah, I completely, like, those moments are so special of like, you get me. I'm like, I'm not living these experiences alone. And I think it's so easy, I think, especially for young women, to feel like this is unique. Like my experience is like, this is only happening to me. And I think for anyone who's listening, where it's like, you're feeling like that, like, it's not like your experience is unique to you, because like no one will ever know what is like in your heart and what is in your body and how you're going through life. But like, you're not alone, because it's happening to like so many different people. And I think as a songwriter, like wanting to bring light to that and be like, I hear you, like, I see you, this isn't like, you're not alone here, and like, you don't have to do this alone, is like so special. And then as a writer, it's special when you're with other writers and they're like, I got you, girl. Like, let's write a song about it.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh. That's going to make me cry a little bit. Okay. Whew, keeping it together. So, okay. Talking more about songs that you have, let's talk about your most recent single release, which was back in February with Leaving Boots.
Mm-hmm.
Now, okay, you just described this like really cool story about a best friend who won't commit. Tell us
Right.
a little bit about Leaving Boots and maybe how that contrasts a little bit.
Right. So Leaving Boots was written in the same day as that song that I just told you about, which is
Oh, that's
funny.
awesome. Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I don't know. I think for Leaving Boots, it was a little different. I really enjoy writing from like my experiences or like, you know, my friends tell me things or, you know, you hear things and then you write from that. And I think for Leaving Boots, you know, I came in with a few ideas for Leslie. And I think one of them and the driving force for Leaving Boots was like, I love Nancy Sinatra's song. Um,
Yeah.
like obviously it's like such a classic. And I
Mhm.
wanted to do a play on this idea of like boots were made for walking, but like what about the boots that like walk out that toxic person's door?
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
you know, it's like, you know, I don't know. I have several pairs of boots, as do I think most people who occupy a certain region of the United States.
That's right.
Um, and every single one of them is like a different, like I use them for different things. You know, like I have my ranch boots that are like literally I would never even like bring inside because they're like covered in cow. You know what? I
Yeah.
have my like boots that I like wear out for like really special occasions because my mom wore them at her wedding and she passed them down to me. So like those are like,
Oh,
and then I have like, you know, my stage, but you know, like everyone has, and I think so many different people have boots for different things. And,
yeah.
you know, as sort of an homage to Nancy's song and also as like a sequel to More Than One Way to Cheat, you know, like
Mhm.
from
Yeah.
off of the EP of like, okay, well, this has happened, or like there's this conflict, and then we both know that there's conflict, but now wanting to make like a power anthem of like, no, like she's leaving. Like she's not just victim to like a passive love.
Yeah.
And really wanting to, you know, just like create an anthem of like, see ya, like I'm leaving and there's nothing you can do about it. And you think that you know everything, but you don't know what I'm about to do. And like, don't you underestimate me again because I'm about to leave you.
Yeah.
I think that that was sort of the, I feel very lucky and I feel like I have to preface, I'm like a very happy relationship, which you can
Yay.
see in my app.
Beautiful.
And people are always, I put out these songs, people are text me all the time and are like, are you still
Are
in
you
your
good? Are you
relationship?
okay?
And I'm
Yes.
like, no,
Yes.
I am in my very happy relationship, which I think gives me permission to be able to write these like breakup songs. But that one was from a lot of different ideas that, you know, lucky for me at this stage of my life were not necessarily personal, um, you know, for this season, but it
Yeah.
was sort of an homage to Nancy and also an homage to like all of the people who have been like brave and bold enough to like walk out the door of a situation that wasn't serving them.
That's right. That's right. Getting that empowerment back
Right.
almost. So, okay. And you briefly touched on this when you talked about More Than One Way to Cheat. Okay. Knowing, I'll talk a little bit about your EP, Who Knew, that you released back in August of 2023. More Than One Way to Cheat is on there. And you just talked about how, you know, writing breakup songs or cheating songs are not, you know, necessarily about you right now, which is great. Do you think that there's a song on your EP that kind of summarizes your beautiful relationship right now?
Falling Fast does. And which, you know, it's funny because all of the songs are like very much I was writing about me in like a very specific season of my life, about several relationships and situations, and I we had recorded those four songs, and my producer was like, okay, let's put it out. And I was like, I'm not ready. was like, I'm not ready for the world to hear this yet. And for whatever reason, I was just like, we can't put it out yet. And then I got a new relationship with my now boyfriend. And in, I don't know, January of 2021, maybe? Sounds
cool.
Right? No. Yeah. January 2021, he and I were on our first date on a beach, and he brought his guitar. I had no idea this man played guitar. He pulls out this red Fender, and I was like,
awesome.
well, hello. You signed me up for date number 2 already.
There
and
you
we
go.
start writing this song. Like, he starts playing chords, and I was just like, bleh. And I started writing this song how like I'm falling like in love with this person. It's like date number 1, and like both of us are looking at each other, and like in now here we are like over 2 years later. But that song I think was exactly what the EP needed. And I'm so grateful that I like listened to my gut being like, hold off, it's not done yet. But yeah, that song I think really, I mean, is more true than I'd like to admit. And there's a lyric in it that talks about like a one night stand like now turns to like you coming home, and that is like, very true. On a that happened. And I remember when I like first played it for my father, he and I like
had a moment,
and I was like, it's creative, like it's art, like it's fine. And even still to this day it makes me giggle singing that song. But that's about that is the only song off of the EP that has been inspired. Yeah. Thank goodness. That would be that's like everything else is about my current relationship, just not that one. That would be but yeah, It's Falling Fast is the one that has been a through line in me and my boyfriend's relationship.
That's so cool to hear. Well, okay, so and it sounds like that is the perfect ending song to include on that EP, now that it's kind of like brought you through this other little story, and now here's this little beautiful place where you've landed. How lovely. Well, okay, let's I also wanted to talk with you about you're currently in New York, is that correct?
Yes. So if you hear horns and sirens.
Oh, that lovely traffic. Okay, but you're pursuing a master's degree. Tell me what your educational career path has been like.
Oh man. My educational career path has been really interesting. And I'm really grateful for it. And it all starts back in high school. I went to Performing Arts High School in Dallas at Booker T. Washington for acting. And that was sort of my first, I always sort of did music, like I had said, like, behind closed doors, and acting was more what I thought my direction and my path was going to be. Got admitted to University of Southern California for acting. Started as an acting major at USC. COVID happens. They're like, we're going to do Zoom acting. I said, no, thank you.
No, thanks.
And then was like, oh, I've always been interested in people. Like, I love people. I love writing. I love thinking about, songwriting is like psychology, but like put it in a creative form, right? Yeah. And so I added a psychology major and ended up graduating with a psychology degree and a minor in occupational science.
Cool.
And I'm getting my master's now at NYU for occupational therapy, which no one ever knows what occupational therapy is until what occupational therapy is.
Yeah.
And for anybody who doesn't know, which I would venture is most people, unless you know someone or are someone that has gone through OT, or my pitch, or elevator pitch as they like to say,
elevator pitch,
helping people re-engage with like the activities that bring them the most joy when life circumstances happened that limits like their ability to do that in the capacity that they want to. And I think for me, I graduated, and there was a lot of talk about like moving to Nashville. And I was like, I really want to just like continue growing as an artist. And I don't know, if like being in Nashville and like being in the crossfire right now is like what I feel like is best for my art.
Yeah.
But I definitely am one then the first to tell you that I cannot stay still. My family says that I'm like a shark, like I literally sleep swimming. And like I can't stop moving for better for worse. So I decided to get my master's. Um, you know, the dream is to do music. The dream is to be an artist. And I also feel like this program has allowed me to be able to be like a better daughter and a better granddaughter and like a better future mother.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's very interesting. Like all this happens and people are like, why are you getting your master's degree? And I think my best answer is like, I felt called to do it. I feel like I'm a very like spiritual person. And I just felt like there was a higher power saying like, it's not your time yet to like go straight to Nashville. Like you need to go and do this. And it has been the biggest blessing because there've been a lot of different health things that have been popped up in my like wider family and people needing occupational therapy and people like getting to certain stages of their life where like I feel like I'm able to, you know, support and like love the people in my life better because of this program. And so, you know, whether or not I ever practice in my life, like it's making me a better daughter, it's making me a better granddaughter, it's going to make me a better mother. So like for that I'm so grateful.
Absolutely. And I think there's such a blessing in the fact that we can live in the world of and. Like I think whenever I was growing up, I don't know if you ever felt this, but like I was kind of pigeonholed into like one thing. So like let's say whenever I was growing up in high school, I had to do chorus, but I couldn't do band at the time. And I like argued with my guidance counselor. I was like, I want to do band too. Like, why can't I do both? I'm good at both. And so I think living in and like you are a great performer and you're an awesome occupational therapist. I love hearing stories like that because I guess people just don't realize that like you can have joy and bring joy to other people doing multiple things. And like somehow or another, they all kind of interconnect because at the end of the day, I think about how you just described occupational therapy and bringing the joy back to or regaining, you know, the way that you need to do the things you enjoy. Yeah, I think about that and I think about, you know, how music does that for people too. It kind of brings people back to a place where they felt joy about this or felt a certain feeling about something that's in the topic of a song. I feel like all of that's kind of interconnected in that own little space. How cool.
Sure.
Oh,
It is. It's special. And I think exactly that, you know, it as an artist, as a therapist, as a person, like I've always felt like very called to like bringing like how can I like show up for people and like bring light to them and like their journey. And it is all like so interconnected and I think that's so beautiful and I appreciate what you said about this like we're able to live in like these like both realms, you know, because like no one is one note, for lack of I guess a better metaphor, songs or people or anything in between. And so it's it's been fun. It's definitely a lot to be juggling all of it, but it's like so worth it and I feel like very at peace even amidst the chaos, which is I feel like how I know like I'm being led on the right path.
yeah. Wow. I'm so glad that you shared that with me today. Okay, and before I really okay, I feel like I'm talking a lot to you, but again, we had girl chat, so like you know I can't help it. I want to talk about your upcoming performance with Chats Pod family member Canaan Cox. You guys will be at the Mercury Lounge in NYC. Give us a little shout out about all of that that's going to happen for you in April 23rd. Next week. Oh my gosh.
Right. Literally, it was a week from yesterday, which is crazy. Well, first off, like big shout out to Canaan and his entire team for like letting me like open for him on his tour, like all across the United States. He's like been performing and he just started his tour and to be able to open for him as he glides through New York is so special. And I've been a big fan of his music, and I just like love his energy, and I can't wait to like meet him. I mean, I like love his energy through our
Yeah.
some of our correspondence and his social media, right? But
Cool.
I mean, they've just been like such dolls, and just have been so welcoming. And when I found out that like I was selected to like open for him in New York, I mean, I was like sitting, it was like such like that was a crazy moment and a pinch me moment. And I called all my loved ones. I was like bawling, crying on like a stoop on a walk up in New York City. And like, it was just like, I was like, this is crazy. Like, I can't believe that this is my life. And, Canaan sent me like the sweetest message and was like, welcome to the team. Like, can't wait to rock it. And I'm so excited. I think it's, those are moments. And I think I've had a few where, it again is like a sign or a light to be like, keep going. And it's hard. Like, it's a grind. It's hard to be like putting out like my heart and my soul, and like worried that like, okay, like here we go, I'm like gonna put out this song, and like, is nobody gonna hear it? Like, and knowing that like that's okay. And I'm putting music out because like I love music, and I know that like at least my family will be listening to it, and that's more than enough for me. But it is hard. And I think several of like I've had these moments like within my career in the last year where it was like little guardian angel moments of like, keep going, like I believe in you, keep going, I believe in you. I mean, whether that's Canaan, his team just being like, we believe in you, like let's get it, or playing Beach Life Ranch Music Festival last September, and it was like, we believe in you, you play that girl. And it's moments like, or being asked to go to the CMTs, like just like little moments where I was like, okay, like again, like we're on the right path, and like it's hard, but like it is so much bigger than me. And I like feel so grateful to be able to do what I'm doing. And I'm even more grateful for people like Canaan, um, and the rest of the people in my life who've like taken a chance on me and like believed in me and like the stories that I have to say. So I'm just like over the moon. It's gonna be a crazy next week. After we get off the call, I'm like off to rehearsal to start, prepping and getting all of our ducks in a row, to put on like a great show to, warm up the audience for him. So
Oh my gosh, that's going to be an awesome time in New York City. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to follow along. Yeah. Well, okay. Brett, this was a fantastic chat today. Thank you so much for coming on the episode. I normally end the episode by asking if you wanted to like give a shout out to anybody, and I feel like you kind of just did that. But if there's anyone else that you'd like to give a shout out to, or anything else that you'd like to promote, please feel free. Shout out your social media handles, whatever you have. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, first off, thank you so much, Leigh, for having me. I love girl chat. Love
Yay.
girl chat, and love just let's talking. I feel like I love that, and I love connecting. And speaking of connecting, if any of y'all are listening and want to connect with me, my Instagram and all my social media is just Brett, Brett, Landin, Landin. I always like feel like I have to spell it out, because people think it's like Landan or Landun or Linden or Brat, and I'm like, no, I'll just spell it. And I'd love to shout out, you in Coda Country, which I like absolutely love.
Thank you.
And just like my family who truly like believes in me, like unequivocally, my friends, my boyfriend, my like PR team, Portrait PR, based in Nashville and like headed by the amazing Ashton. And she's amazing, and just truly I'm so blessed, and I'm so excited for this next chapter, and I've been so grateful to chat a little bit more about it with you.
Oh my gosh. And I'm really, really thankful that you did, because I feel like we had a lot of awesome moments on this episode today. And one that I want to end the episode with was the fact that you brought this beautiful takeaway to this episode, which is music doesn't happen in a vacuum. And I think the listeners out there really just needed to hear that again, because it's awesome that we get to live in a world with so much music, and awesome music that's coming from you. So thank you so much for sharing your story and sharing your music with us.
Thank you. I appreciate
Absolutely. Listeners out there, make sure you check out Brett Landin. And if you're in the New York area, come see her open for Canaan Cox, April 23rd at the Mercury Lounge. Y'all have a good day.